Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks. Sorry for the delay. I did want to take a week off for my birthday. Celebrated nice. Probably gonna have a secondary celebration during this weekend. Don't worry, I'm not missing any wrestling. So, now I'm back. I'm ready to go. Gonna be covering today WWE Monday Night Raw and NWA Power. My AEW part of this review will be coming up in a couple weeks. Gonna get finished watching Agatha All Along, and then we'll be back. So, we're gonna start us off with Monday Night Raw, and I'm gonna cover something I haven't yet. So, to open shows, WWE show their talent arriving to the arena. Now, I usually don't cover this because it's pretty much nothing. But today is pretty interesting because, we saw the normal arrivals. We see Jey Uso, Braun Breaker, Dragon Lee, and Rey Mysterio. Then we see Bronson Reed. He's kind of in the back-ish area, like right before where Gorilla is. Then we see someone running up behind him. It's Seth Rollins, and he attacks Bronson Reed from behind. Security get in to break it up. Then Seth Rollins books it right to the ring. He grabs a microphone. He says, "You want to get crazy tonight, Bronson? You want your 5 minutes of fame? I'm going to give it to you. Get out here so we can fight." Then it cuts to the entranceway. Bronson Reed is literally tossing security guards to get him out of his way. They get in the ring. They fight for a little bit. Security gets in to break it up. Reed and Seth then fight through the security to get at each other one more time. Reed eventually fights back with a Death Valley driver. Goes for a tsunami. Seth rolls outside of the ring. Then Reed hits his middle rope apron elbow to the outside. Then Reed sets up the announce table. He gets up on the barricade. Goes for the tsunami. Seth, at the last possible second, rolls off of the table, and Reed splashes through the announce table. And then just to finish it off, Seth Rollins takes the Prime bottles from the Prime hydration station and just starts throwing them at Bronson Reed. Security comes out, separates the two of them, and they go back to their respective locker rooms. That was definitely an interesting way to incorporate the usual nothing of, superstars arriving. And it's definitely a very interesting way to start a show. Then last, we get an interview. Then after that segment, we get a little video recap of the women's tag title match from the previous week, in which the NXT combination of Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, I believe are their names, interfered. Then we go to a Damage Control interview, saying they're not done with Jade and Bianca, and we're the next tag team champions. Then in come a very interesting pair, that's Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. With Liv saying, "Look, Nia, I'm about to take everything from Nia." But then Io replies, "You're not quite the champion yet." Then Raquel steps up a little bit. Pretty much says, "We can be tag team champs if we wanted to. We could fight tonight. You want to fight? Let's do it." So we're getting that tag match a little bit later. That should be an interesting one. We then get a nice little hype video for the main event going down later tonight. Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker for the tag Intercontinental title. But our first match of the evening, and it took them a while to get here, but it's Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods of the New Day taking on the Authors of Pain. I've definitely seen this movie before, but I think they did well with what they had. Also, coming to ringside is The Miz, who ends up sitting on the announce table. Lots of really good back and forth. A lot of really good power moves from AOP. They've definitely been working on their stuff. Eventually, the New Day fight back. Kofi with the Trouble in Paradise that gets blocked into a big old suplex. Then out on the outside, you see The Miz taking R-Truth taking out The Miz. That distracts the AOP long enough for Woods to come in, hit a roll-up, and get the win. This is going to be a theme for this Raw. Let me just tell you that much. I enjoyed the match for what it was. I would have liked to see an AOP involved in that tag match next week, because we've never seen War Raiders versus AOP before, so why not? So, post-match, you got the entirety of Final Testament, including The Miz, attacking R-Truth. Kofi wants to go in and help, but Woods is holding him back, saying, we need to focus on the tag titles. That's our goal. And then, lights go out. Lights come back on. The Wyatt Six have surrounded the ring, and they just start attacking the Final Testament. They brawl to the outside, with The Miz in there, spiffing up his suit. Then you see over his shoulder Uncle Howdy, in which, that's interesting, because Miz and Bo Dallas were a team back in the day, along with Curtis Axel. Uncle Howdy goes to grab The Miz. Paul Ellering pushes him out of the way, takes a mandible claw, which you don't see Paul Ellering take bumps like that. That's so good. So, yeah, it looks like we got our next target for the Wyatt Six in the Final Testament. And honestly, I think that's perfect. That's going to be a very interesting battle, that's for sure. We then go backstage for an Adam Pearce interview, talking to the interviewer for a little bit. Bronson Reed walks up. Before he can say anything, Seth Rollins attacks him from behind again, and then security breaks them up again. That's going to be another theme for this show. Just wait. Then we get a recap of last Friday's SmackDown, in which I know it's pretty much your A story, but let's SmackDown stuff be SmackDown, with Jey Uso starting to get involved in the Bloodline story again. We'll get on that. Next, we cut to a Jey Uso interview. He says he's in the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia. EC-Dub. But now I don't have any love for my brothers. But tonight is about this title, where people are going to hear, and still Intercontinental Champion. So, that's a little foreshadowing of what's coming. We then get a Raquel Rodriguez video promo, in which she's calling out Rhea Ripley. I am definitely very interested in seeing what goes down with this, with Raquel and Rhea. It's definitely starting to feel like Raquel is maybe a discount Rhea. But we'll see as we move on to our next match, as Io Sky and Kairi Sane of Damage Control take on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez of the Judgment Day. And who do we have sitting ringside? It's the Meta Girls. That's Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. And this matchup starts off pretty dang good with Io Sky and Liv Morgan trading blows. Eventually, Liv tags in Raquel, who just overpowers everybody. Damage Control continue to tag in and out to try to take down the Giant. Eventually, Raquel does try to get involved, but that misses onto a dive. Sane goes for the guillotine, but that ultimately gets broken up. They then fight to the outside, in which Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson attack Damage Control. They fight back, and then they brawl, which ends the match in DQ, which I am a little disappointed in. They get back in the ring. Meta Girls hit their finishers, which is the Sugar Rush and the Lash Injection, which is a great couple names for finishers. Then the Judgment Day get back in. They face off with Jackson and Lash. When they finally hear, "This is my brutality!" That's right, Rhea Bloody Ripley comes out. Meta Girls bail out, which leaves Raquel and Liv Morgan to face Rhea on their own. Rhea kind of takes Raquel out a bit easily. Eventually, Liv being saved by Dominic Mysterio after an attempted riptide. But then Rhea brings Dom into the ring, locks him in the prison trap, which is a great name for a finisher. But then Liv and Raquel pull Dom out of the ring to save his bacon. So, yeah, another interference spot. That's pretty much the theme of this episode. Match itself was really, really good. All four women played their role pretty much perfectly. But yeah, we'll see where this goes. We then see Adam Pearce. He's walking backstage, runs into Seth Rollins. Before he could say a word, Bronson Reed gets a little revenge and attacks Rollins from behind. They're eventually separated by security. Adam Pearce gets in the middle of them. He says, "Enough is enough. You guys want your match? Fine, you're going to get it at Crown Jewel." So, yeah, gonna have to not wait that long for that matchup. Should be a fun one. We get a nice little War Raiders vignette in which we see them burning their old Viking gear and equipment, in which it's about dang time. Then we see Judgment Day in the back. They're chilling in a very much downgraded clubhouse, with Carlito taking the lead, saying, "What do you guys think?" Then Liv is like, "What do we think? This is trash. This is garbage. You guys need to get your head in gear for this tag tournament." Then Finn Balor chimes in. He says, "We can handle any team from this tournament, but my goal is still Damian Priest. I hear he's still going for the world title, and I'm going to try my best to keep it from him." Then Raquel turns to Carlito, who has kind of been flirting with her a little bit, with her saying, "What do you do around here?" Carlito says, "I bring the cooler." Then Liv says to Carlito, look, you need to handle this business. I want Dom to hold a title. So go talk to Adam Pearce. In which we'll get to that bit of business a little bit later. But first, we got our last match in the World Tag Team Title Tournament. The number one contender is going to be determined in a triple threat match next week. So we got the LWO, but it's not Cruz and Wild. Instead, it's Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, which is a very interesting combination as they take on Brutus and Julius Creed of American Made. And this match was an interesting combination of styles, with the luchadors doing their good lucha things, Creed brothers being more ground and pound. Eventually, Rey Mysterio goes for a 619, but Chad Gable stops him on the apron. Julius with a gigantic knee. Then Zelina Vega finds her way on the American Made side of the ringside, goes over, slaps Chad Gable, which, that was interesting slap. Then Niall and Vega brawl for a little bit. Back in the ring, Julius is going for a powerbomb. That gets blocked into a Hurricane Rana into the ropes. 619. Rey Mysterio tags in Dragon Lee, who issues a beautiful frog splash to pick up the win for the LWO. And honestly, this is going to be interesting, because while it is another interference spot, I'm okay with this one. I do wish American Made got the win here, but this brings in some interesting dynamics, because next week it's going to be all baby faces in the final of this tournament, which pretty much means anyone can do it. So yeah, let's see. Then we go back to Adam Pearce's office. He's talking to Damage Control, who are going to get their shot against Bianca and Jade Cargill soon. They leave. Carlito comes in and says, "Oh, I need to work on my Chinese." Before I continue with this, Carlito, stop with the racism stuff, okay? These two ladies are Japanese. Okay? That wasn't funny. That wasn't clever. Cut that shit out. And the fact that it was ad-libbed. Which... Oi. Anyway, so we're going to continue with this. With Carlito asking Adam Pearce to make Dom Mysterio the next challenger for Gunther's world title. Adam Pearce has a little chuckle at it. He then informs Carlito that Dom has done nothing to deserve a title shot. Carlito then starts begging a little bit, which is a little pathetic. Then Adam Pearce reveals that next week, all Dom has to do is beat a former world champion, and he'll get his match. Now, obviously, that challenger wasn't named, but I think there are two options. One, the boring makes sense option. It's Damian Priest. Two, which I think would be the funnier option, Bill Goldberg. And now, do I want Bill Goldberg? Absolutely not. But I think that would be hilarious. Then we go backstage for a Braun Breaker interview, where he says, "I didn't come to Philadelphia to get a cheesesteak. I've come here to get my title. And Jay is clearly not focused on the task at hand. And that's why I'm getting my title back tonight. It's time to do what badasses do. So, nice little fired up pro interview from Bron Breakker. Then we go into Gunther's locker room. He's in there with Kaiser. He gets interviewed where he says, I don't understand. Imagine his haul. Cody loves his drama. But tonight, it's all about the title. It's all about establishing a legacy of the new title. I am one of one. And yes, Cody, I will be there on Friday. In which Gunther on Friday nights. Expect some fireworks. Then in walks Damian Priest, who got a very good reaction. With Bray saying, look, I got no issue with you. I've handled my business with Judgment Day. And it's only fair I get my title back. I'm obviously not looking for a handout. I'll earn my spot. Gunther replies, you're having big problems now. When I become champion, it's going to be hard to topple me. So, definitely some good setup for a future matchup after Crown Jewel. We then go to our main event of the evening, as it's for the Intercontinental title, as Bron Breakker challenges Jey Uso for the belt. And this match was all kinds of entertaining. I think it was Jey Uso's best match as a singles competitor. Everyone's trying to hit their big move, which gets blocked. They eventually roll to the outside. Jey Uso spears Bron Breakker. Then we see something interesting. We see Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa come down the ringside. They got a ticket. They flash it in front of Jay, who gets distracted enough, in which Braun fights back. Then we see Jey Uso get tossed to the other end of the arena. And who's there? It's Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa, who eat a couple of super kicks from Jay. Solo then comes in over the barricade. He gets in Jey Uso's face, saying stuff like, all I wanted to do was help you. I wanted to reunite our family. They're talking. At that point, Bron Breakker is looking for his big running spear on the outside. Jay moves, so that hits Solo Sikoa. Then Bron Breakker with a big knee to Jey Uso tosses him in the ring. As that's happening, Jacob Fatu climbs the barricade from his seat, gets right into Bron Breakker's face. WWE, yes please, let's do that match soon. I'd love that. Jey Uso then takes out both men with a big dive, gets Breakker back in, goes for the Uso splash. Breakker gets his knees up. Breakker then sets him up for the super spear. Jey Uso ducks, hits a bunch of super kicks, hits his own spear. Uso splash, only gets a 2 count. Then Tama Tonga Tanga Loa get up on the apron. Jey Uso fights them off a little bit. Then Bron Breakker with a big old super spear. And then Jacob Fatu gets back up. Hits a super kick to Jey Uso. Samoan drop into the announce table. Actually, that's the Super Spears the match, so your winner is Braun Breaker. Bloodline attack Jimmy Uso post-match. And yeah, your winner is Braun Breaker. So, definitely another interference match I could live without, but I do understand what they're doing with Jey Uso and the Bloodline. And we'll see that result at Survivor Series. So, stay tuned for that. Overall, Raw was very entertaining, but my one issue is that WWE are falling back on trends they used to do with Vince McMahon, with tons of interference spots, and repeating these spots in multiple matches. I think if you mix up, some interferences, maybe do some stuff post-match, I feel like it would be a little bit better. Although that's just me. So, that was Monday Night Raw. We now move to NWA Power. And we start off with the United States Tag Team title defense as the Slimeballs take on Daisy Kill and Talos. The Country Gentlemen, which is AJ and Casey Kazana. And the Fixers, that's Wrecking Ball Legursky and the Boss Jay Bradley. And this match was really, really entertaining. Especially with the bigger guys in there. Like, when we had Daisy Kill and, when it was Talos and, Wrecking Ball, the two powerhouses did well. KC actually held his own really well, too. With eventually AJ looking for the shot with his branding iron. That misses. Tommy Rand getting pushed off the top rope. And then Country Gentleman hitting like a powerbomb clothesline combo. Looked kind of like a heart attack, but it wasn't like that elevated. So yeah, your winners, new United States Tag Team Champions, the Country Gentlemen. Very entertaining tag match. We'll see what happens from here. We then get a very strange interview from Eric Smalls, who has his own thing going on, in which we'll get into. Says he is definitely worried. If I'm able to dish it out, I'd have to be able to take it in the balls. So, this next in-ring segment is the Family Jewels finale. Basically, it was Slade and either it was Eric Smalls or it was someone else in a ladder match in which it was Rolando. That's who it was. In a ladder match in which the loser would be hit in the balls. So, they make their entrances. Slade is there with Rolando. Slade sets up a couple of chairs. Eric Smalls gets on top of them. Kind of spread out so they have a free shot. Then Rolando gets on the microphone and says, Eric, your mama taught you a lot about being a man. Well, tonight, I'm going to show you how to be a man. Because I'm coming after those jewels. That really didn't make much sense, but whatever. So Smalls, he's up there. Slade is teases hitting him a couple of times, goes for a wind-up, backs up, gets a running start. Rolando stops him. And he takes off his shirt, dress shirt, Rolando lines up, goes for the shot. Smalls count pretty much blocks it and hits a crossbody on him. But then the numbers catch up to Eric Smalls, with Slade hitting the wicked big boot. Beatdown continues. Then we see the NWA debut of someone really interesting. That's Mr. Grimm, who makes the save. It's a pop-up F5 on Slade. Then Eric Smalls with a senton and a caterpillar. With eventually Slade pulling Rolando out of the ring to make the save. That segment took way too freaking long. But Mr. Grimm making his NWA debut. That's interesting. If you don't know who Mr. Grimm is, he is pretty much a bounty hunter on the independent scene. Mostly in Enjoy Wrestling, if you've ever seen that. It's a pretty darn good show. I'd say check it out. And, him in an NWA ring. I'm excited to see what he's got in store. Then we got this weird interview with Ella Envy and Miss Star, aka the It Girls. With Ella pretty much taking the lead, saying, the NWA 74, 75, 76 have been special to me. I've won the tag team titles on each of these shows, and tonight will be no different. And that's definitely a weird interview. But then we come to our main event of the evening, as we go for the NWA Women's Tag Team titles, as the It Girls, that's Ella Envy and Miss Star, take on the champions, the King Bees, that's Charity King and Danny B. And, this was a very entertaining matchup. Ella Envy is so underrated, I cannot understand it. Her work with both Charity King and Danny B, they worked really, really well together, especially as bad guys. Eventually, Miss Star does get in, but she does very little because she's still wearing that neck brace. But then, when it comes to the finish, we had Danny B looking for a roll-up. That ultimately gets blocked, / she gets distracted because Miss Star took off the neck brace, throw it in the ring. I guess that was enough of a distraction for Ella Envy to hit her own roll-up for the win. And your new women's tag team champions, the It Girls. And then we kind of got a weird post-match interview with the It Girls, with Ella Envy demanding the crowd sing happy birthday to her. The interviewer does, but the crowd just boos, in which, that was a little awkward. So, NWA Power was definitely something else. Definitely going to be interesting to see if the King Bees come back, because they had pretty solid reign with the tag titles. I'd like to see them hang around in NWA for a little bit. So, that is it for me. I hope you all enjoyed. Monday will be my coverage of SmackDown and Rampage. And no, I'm not watching the World Series. And, then I think next Wednesday I'll do my predictions for Crown Jewel. I don't know if I'm going to watch that the Saturday of, or if I'm going to do it maybe Sunday-ish or so. Either way, we'll see what happens there. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.